I'm going to invite a very, very special gentleman who has taken time out from his extremely busy schedule to be with us here today. And ladies and gentlemen, gathered over here, I'm requesting all of you to help me give him a warm welcome to Mr. Kulmeet Bawa, MD and President, SAP India.
I am told that the initiative over the last few months has actually gone and touched more than 5,000 businesses across the country. That's a lot to do in 3 months, right? Is that the right number, Puneet? Yes. So 5,000 businesses touched over 25 geographic clusters, as I call it, because when I wanted to clarify, is it 25 cities, I was told no, it's 25 clusters, so it's more than 25 cities. Absolutely amazing. I don't think it could be better. But look, before I move on, a very warm welcome to all of you. Good evening. It's amazing to see so many wonderful faces, so many customers, so many partners with us here, so many well-wishers, let me just put it like that, to join us at this event. So it means a lot to us. Thanks a lot for joining. Look, we are living in very, very exciting times, right? From a world perspective, and then I'll come to India. When I get into the world perspective, everything that we're hearing and seeing on generative AI, and we're going to hear more from our colleagues at Microsoft a little later, everything to do with longevity, everything to do with biotech, the kind of innovations happening in space, I think we're at that cusp, some kind of a cusp that we've seen many times, at least I've seen it quite a few given my age, whether it was the advent of the internet or whether it was the mobile coming in. I think with AI, with generative AI, we're going to see another cusp. There's going to be another change. The world order is going to change, a lot of changes. And then again, we are in one of the most exciting places in the world, which is India. So a lot happening, especially in India. And I wanted to take a minute on this picture here. I know I had shown it a few months ago. So this is dated. This is about 2.5, 3 months old. And this is the German delegation that had come to India. So it had power-packed some of the brightest CEOs from some of the most powerful German companies. Of course, our own CEO, Christian Klein, was part of that delegation. And then we had the German chancellor with them. So they came to India for about 2 days, or was it 2.5 days, met the prime minister, met a series of key ministers, dignitaries, bureaucrats, some of the business leaders. The reason I'm saying it is that I was very closely involved in this delegation, and the euphoria, the excitement with which they went back, I've never seen that. The excitement when it came to India and the opportunity with which they viewed India was amazing. In fact, Christian said it a few times, more than a few times. He also iterated it in the media, saying that India is clearly the place to be in. I just love that. And so not just this, but this and everything else that we are witnessing around us today, the excitement that we are seeing clearly underscores the fact that the world today is looking at us, is looking at India as one of the most important global growth engines world over. So gone are the times when they could ignore India, especially the manner in which we are very, very quickly moving towards the stake in the ground that we put of becoming the third largest economy in the world by 2030. And I think we are well on our track. We will achieve it. So we cannot be ignored today, undoubtedly. And then again, the G20 presidency, and I talk about it a lot, I think it's a great, fabulous opportunity for us to actually, I should not use the word script the world order or script the world, but I think it's a fabulous opportunity for us to shape the global narrative. By the way, trivia, so I loved waking up this morning. I saw all those beautiful photographs of our Prime Minister with the US President, with President Biden, the regalia, the style in which he was welcomed, and of course the other delegates, the minister that accompanied him. And I think I've done more retweets today than I've done in a very, very long time. Because I just love the respect that India is getting, the energy, the point that we are actually arriving there to our rightful place in the world order is the way I put it. So a lot of excitement moving ahead. Sorry, so which is this click? My apologies there. And look, again, India's accomplishments in the last 25 years have been absolutely phenomenal. The reason I say 25 and not 30 and 35 is that we as SAP have been around for a little over 25, I think it's about 26 and a half years now. So we've had phenomenal achievements as a country, phenomenal accomplishments. What I love about it is the fact that, this transformation and achievements have not been limited to a particular segment, industry segment, strata of society. It's been across the very fabric or the socio-economic spectrum of the country. And that's to say a lot, right? So can you imagine today, 97% of households in India have electricity and power. For a country like India with our population, that's no meaningful achievement. Look at what we've done on the UPI. Look at what we're doing with the fintech revolution, what we're doing on the Aadhaar, 9,000 crore digital transactions through the UPI resulting in $3 trillion of transaction. That's amazing. Show me one country, okay, forget it. Show me one continent put together that can emulate us on the Aadhaar and what we are doing there. I don't know. Look at our whole story around aviation. 100 world-class airports, and I was reading somewhere we're going to double it very quickly. That's the stake in the ground. Super amazing. I just love it. And two of the largest aircraft orders for the world, I thought we had done it with the Air India Tata Group a few months ago, and then a few days ago came Indigo, which was probably even bigger than that. I don't remember the exact numbers, but absolute amazing excitement in the country, and the same story on the roadways and on the railroads that we see in India. So we would have constructed more highways and roadways in the year or the decade ending 2025 than we did from the very start post-independence. And last Sunday, trivia again for you, my wife and I were on the, Ashwini, we were on the Mumbai Expressway, and we were going out for something. I'll tell you later for what. You will identify it very well. But it was such an amazing experience to travel on that road. I don't know how many of you have done that. Can I have hands? Okay, 7, 8, 5, 6, okay, 8, 10. I loved it, right? The 4-lane, 5-lane, whatever it was, I forget. The experience, the road quality, the signposting, the signage, it was absolutely amazing. Perhaps one of the best I've seen in the world, and I've traveled a lot. So the story keeps getting better as we move. But what humbles us immensely, what humbles me immensely, is just to understand the manner in which SAP has been intrinsically involved for the last 2.5 decades in this growth that India has seen. So we've moved hand in hand, arm in arm, walked instead with India, with the nation, as India's grown. So while the economy has grown about 10x over the last 25 years, today we touch more than 65% of India's GDP. So the way I like to put it is from the milk that you consume every day to the the cooking gas in your house with which we cook, the LPG gas, all the way to the car that you came here in, the train that you travel in, the aeroplane or the flights that you take. Look at it any which way. Chances are, or then again, the mobile phone that we remain so glued onto these days, chances are that every single waking moment of the day, you're touched by SAP, directly or indirectly, because very simply, we end up powering most of these organizations that actually provide these products and services. So a great story as far as India is concerned, and our growth, like I was saying, it's uncanny. It's almost been as if it's been in tandem with the way the nation has grown. And I'll explain. So for those of you who've been associated with SAP in the early years, can I have a show of hands again? Is there anyone in this room before 2010? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not SAP employees, come on. I know we'll have hundreds of them, 25 years plus. That's not the point. So okay, fantastic. Thank you, sir. So look, initially when we started, and I wasn't here, but it was select few metros, a couple of industry segments that we chose, whether it was aviation or energy or utilities, whatever, right? So we chose some of those industries, chose some large enterprise accounts and took them to the next stage, largely in the key metros. That was our footprint. And then if you look at the next decade, the decade starting 2010, we witnessed a huge amount of growth. So in terms of footprint where we started playing, we went out to more than 20 cities across India. a large part of this growth was fueled because of the MSMEs, because of a lot of you in this room. And that was the growth engine that India saw. And with that growth engine, SAP continued to grow. It was phenomenal. That was also the time when we evolved as a cloud company or transitioned into a cloud company through a series of both organic and inorganic growth, a lot of acquisitions. And we had about 1,000 businesses that transformed with our help by the time we hit the year 2020. They were cloud-enabled, they were agile, and they loved what they saw. And then if I was to look at the last few years, the last 3 years, 2020 and beyond, I think anything that we ever dreamt of as SAP in India, we went and surpassed that. So for the longest of time now, like I said, for the last 2.5, 3 years, we are one of the fastest growing countries. I want to be politically right. One of the fastest growing countries in the world for SAP. We've doubled our footprint on the cloud very clearly. We are amongst the top 10 revenue contributors. I could go on, and yet we are barely scratching the surface. And this is what I tell the teams all the time. There's so much to do. Just to try and grow at the pace that India is growing is absolutely phenomenal. And today we are in 63 cities. Everything from Nasik to Vizag, or from Coimbatore to wherever, Jamshedpur, right? Today we have customers who are very quickly harnessing, embracing the cloud technology, not because we are telling them to, because they're seeing the ROI, they're seeing the agility, they're seeing the nimbleness that they can get by moving on to the cloud or by harnessing cloud very quickly. And from an innovation perspective, look, we continue to lead the charge as we've always done. And you know, this whole AI thing, and I know you're going to come up later, our partners from Microsoft, but we've always, I think it's been a decade, we've always embedded what we call business AI into the fabric of our solutions. So it's no fancy word that we are superimposing. Now, of course, with generative AI, we're again back to the drawing board, embedding a lot of that in our solutions, and also partnering with some of the finest out there so that we can leapfrog and catch the wave, ride the wave as we move on. So look, to summarize this leg, clearly, India is on a rocket ship. No two ways about it. There is no better time to be in India than now, this moment, today. Now, you know, if I look at what's going for us, I could go on for an hour, but just the domestic consumer market that we see around us, the demographic dividend, the youth population, the pace at which exports are growing, the rapid pace at which exports are growing, we clearly have a unparalleled competitive advantage today vis-a-vis any other country in the world. So this is the time, this is the place for us to be. And then there are certain key trends or themes or mega trends, or call it what you may, which are going to be super important for us as a country. We will need to ride the wave, we'll need to understand them, we'll have to do right by them. And by the way, they are also key focus areas for us at SAP. So I'm going to take the next 5-6 minutes talking about some of those trends within the time that I've been given, hopefully. So the first, of course, is all of you, is the mid-market segment, the MSME segment that we have today. I think very clearly, this is the flag bearer of India's entrepreneurial DNA. With 1/3 of GDP coming out of this segment, with 40% exports, with 40% jobs, plus minus whatever, I think it's a segment, it's a sector that cannot be ignored by us. It's the most critical growth engine as far as India is concerned. And you know, we've been studying a lot of this, and then again, we'll come up with the survey and some of the survey findings that Rajiv would do a little later in the day today. But very clearly, in order for us to, as India, to continue with the sustained growth in the MSMEs, we need a lot of our small businesses to move up the ladder to become mid-sized. And we need to do, I think, 10,000, 12,000, whatever the number, but this needs to be done rapidly. And that's not an easy task. To grow at pace, to scale at pace so quickly, will need digital intervention. Now, we are doing what we can, undoubtedly, to whoever reaches out to us, or, by the way, I've had 3 reach outs for you, Rajiv, today. which I will forward to you. So we do that when people reach out. But having said that, this whole engine needs to move faster. And for those of us who've been together for some time, you understand that 80% of our footprint in the country, customer footprint, customer base, 10,000 customers, is from the mid-market segment. So we understand it's not just cloud, agile, ERPs, but it's the whole stack, whether it's the people experience, whether it's my friend from Ariba solutions around procurement, or whether it's the business network that we see, which can get millions of suppliers and buyers all together. We can provide you access to global markets very, very quickly through the business networks. And then again, a little earlier in the year, I think it was about 3 months ago, we came out with a very unique offering called Grow with SAP. So much for our fancy names. So Grow with SAP was a unique offering specifically for the mid-market segment, which was, the intent there was, how do we get the best ERP out there with ease of use for anyone that wants to, irrespective of how small you are. So that's the mission we are on, Jeetu, and hopefully India is doing well on that. And just to explain, so Grow with SAP is a holistic, complete solution, as we call it, a complete offering with public cloud edition. It's got services bundled in for very quick acceleration and for you to get up and running quickly. It's got access to communities. And for those of you who've already tried it, and I know a lot of you are up and running, but that's the way we are looking at this segment. So this is the first most important segment. The second, of course, is the manufacturing sector. Now, this contributes to 17% of the GDP in India today. It's 27 million jobs directly and an infinite number of jobs indirectly. So super important, again, as far as we are concerned. We have certain inherent strengths as a country, whether it's our massive talent pool, whether it's the supply chain capabilities, whether it's the R&D prowess, whether it's the acceptability around pharma, manufacturing, automotive that we see globally. So all of that is going well for us. And then again, I think one of the things we need to really capitalize on very quickly is the fact that everyone everywhere is looking for alternatives to China, right? Now, if we don't go and capitalize on that today, when are we going to capitalize on it? And this is a super important, and of course that came in with the whole challenges of the concentrated supply chain. And to call out here, and one of the findings in your survey, Rajiv, that you've done with the Global Bharat survey was, I think the government's incentivization for indigenous manufacturing, whether it's the PLIs and the Make in India, are definitely working well. And that's what we found out in the survey. So all of this makes this an attractive segment. And given our intent or stake in the ground to become the manufacturing powerhouse for the world, I think this is an area that we can't ignore. From an SAP perspective, this is a sweet spot for us, always has been. Best of breed solutions, end-to-end spectrum, everything from your design to production to asset management to demand planning. The entire spectrum is what we offer. And I think this is a job we know how to do well, everything from the shop floor to the top floor. That was second. Number three, very close to my heart, is the whole startup ecosystem in India. Now, this is the innovation engine that we have. I love the vibe, I love the energy of this startup ecosystem and the pace at which these startups are growing. Today it's deep tech, today it's AI, today it's a lot of cool stuff where funding is coming in, and then again, oh, now funding is bad, etc. But overall, this is a massively important segment. The good part about this, and calling out one super important point, 49% of our startups today in the country are from tier 2, tier 3 cities. So why am I excited about it? It just means that the headroom we have to grow in the coming decades is massive. So if almost 50% of our startups, that just shows that the level of entrepreneurial ability in the length and breadth of the country is humongous. Now, from our perspective, we have a strong presence in this segment. We work with a lot of startups, hundreds of startups, 50 of the unicorns, helping them scale very quickly. We work with some of the largest ed tech companies, touching 30 million students today. 250,000 people use our people experience software and then try to bring the best that they can. And a lot of these are millennials. Coming to my fourth point, I was seeing the time which said time's up. The fourth super critical piece is the whole talent pool. And when I talk of millennials, this is something I love talking about. just the fact that we are the youngest nation in the world, the oldest civilization, but the youngest nation, right? It's so meaningful. I was reading today, one of the tweets was the largest democracy and the oldest democracy, something like that by Joe Biden's office. And I was thinking about us as the oldest civilization, youngest nation, 65% of India, below the age of 35, 32, I forget. So amazing. And look at it this way. This is a competitive advantage we have that cannot be emulated. Try as you might, come together as continents, you're not going to produce so many people and emulate us, at least for another 4 decades. So this is a cutting-edge advantage that we have, which is sustainable, at least for the next 4 decades. Also, we are very clearly, as you know, we have the largest tech talent pool in India. We've got the second largest STEM market. From our perspective, from an SAP perspective, we continue to up the bar by empowering huge communities across the length and the breadth. We've got a lot of programs. I'll keep out the fancy names, but Code Unnati, I believe, has already touched, scaled more than 6.5 million students, youth, children, the girl child, women, and we do a lot of this. We also have something, we partner with Microsoft, we partner with a lot of our customers. It's very, very critical. That's the fourth piece. And fifth, of course, so while we are on this amazingly rapid growth trajectory that we are seeing, I think growth is good from a country perspective, but we need to be very cautious, we need to be very conscious of the impact we are having on our environment, right? And we are the third largest GHG, greenhouse gas contributor worldwide. 7% of total emissions come from India. I'm not saying good, bad, I'm just saying these are the statistics. We can interpret them whichever way we want, but I think it's a collective onus on each of us in this room, outside, watching, that how do we harness, how do we control the ecological impact of the growth. And from our perspective again, and I'll end with that, I think we've always been in the process of, or in the business of providing or optimizing business efficiencies. And today we are embedding sustainability into the core business processes and into our offerings for customers. I was at Sapphire a few weeks ago and we launched the green, what was it called? The Green Ledger. The Green Ledger initiative, which is super, super critical because what we are trying to do, we are saying like we have the top line and the bottom line, we now need to have a green line view of what your top line, bottom line. So in essence, we will integrate the financial and the environmental data for decision making. Super cool, super important. And then we have a huge sustainability stack that helps you measure, reduce, manage, report your carbon emissions at every piece, every stage of the value chain. Look, time's up, time's up, time's up. So it's flashed 3 times to me now. Thank you for that. I'd like to end here by just saying that, look, we are in the right place. We are in the right country. From an SAP perspective, we love the fact, we love the idea that we get to play digital catalysts for the nation. So we will continue to do that. But why we've been successful over the last 2.5 decades is because of your support. So whether you're MSMEs, whether you're the startup ecosystem, whether you're enterprises, whether you're the government entities, I think the collaboration that we've seen or we've had with you, the partnership we've had, is what has helped us make India successful, the future-ready India that we spoke about. So, and you know, the Global Bharat Movement, Rajiv, Praveen, fantastic job again. It's more like an ode to the MSMEs and the startups that, you know, that's the way I look at it. But with that, I end. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us today. It means a lot to us. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Look forward to interacting with you. Bye-bye.